Most people believe that you have to sound like a native speaker to be truly fluent in English. But here's a fact that might surprise you. There are now more non-native speakers of English than native ones. So why are you still apologizing? And why are you still trying to sound like a native speaker? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to sound fluent, even if you never sound native. Let me tell you a story. When I lived in Colombia, I had an English teaching contract with an oil company. I'd go into the office and teach English. Now, I'd see my regulars every week, but there was one guy on my list who was never available to take class until one day when he just sort of appeared in the little classroom. So I have my textbooks and my whiteboard markers ready, but from the moment he came in, we just talked. You know, like one of those conversations where it just flows. And I noticed that the time was up, like the full hour, and I sort of apologized. I said, sorry, I never really taught you anything. He said, are you kidding? I had a fantastic conversation. And I realized that although I hadn't been teaching, I had been learning what real fluency feels like. Now, here's the thing. His technical abilities in English were nothing special. He was no more advanced than any of his colleagues, but I forgot I was the teacher. We weren't teacher and student anymore. We were just hanging out. And that was because he didn't have this learner mindset. So what does this mean for you? Well, here's the problem. You put natives at the pinnacle of the learning English game that you're playing. You think it's like this, with A1 to native. And until you get here to native, you're apologizing. Like, oh, sorry, my English. The problem is you can never get there. This level is blocked. So no matter how good you get, you're apologizing forever. Now, a better model looks like this. Speakers of English, all connected, including native and non-native speakers, just communicating using English as a tool where the focus is on the message, not restricted by the language. And the guy from the story understood this, and he was here with me. When you reframe like this, the term native speaker isn't very useful anymore. You just want to be a native communicator. That's everyone here. Now, the good news is it doesn't matter where you're born or where you're from. That's a skill that anyone can learn. Now, my guy was in a big job. Did he get confident by being in the kind of position where he's using English every day and doing the big oil deals? Or did his communication, his confidence in how he presented himself, allow him to reach that position? Well, probably a bit of both. But once you realize this, you can join this group and transcend the learner levels, and the opportunities will just flood in, like, work, travel, dating. And now I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. Now, this will only work if you have a reasonable English level. You don't have to be a Shakespeare level, but we're not learning verb to be, my name is, and I like. If you're still with me, you're good enough. So how do we go from this to this? You need to eat the fluency sandwich. We have bread, meat, bread, mindset, action, mindset. First mindset shift, stop thinking like a learner. We need to destroy this model and realize that there's massive diversity in language, skill, comprehension, and communication abilities, even amongst native speakers. So imagine you come to England and you get on a train to London and you find some British people. Well, you might see someone reading Shakespeare and drinking tea. And in the next seat, you might see someone reading nothing and shouting, yo, we was bladdered. Well, they're both native speakers. And if you ask our two friends on the train what's A1 or what's B2, they've never heard of it. They never think about language in that way. And they probably, well, at least one of them, will probably fail a grammar test. But they both have the amazing ability to transfer their thoughts into words effortlessly. So they don't have to say, oh, sorry, my English very bad. Never stop learning or developing your skills. That's not what I'm saying. But stop thinking that you're a language learner. You're now an English speaker with the same status as our two trained friends. Next, take action. Speak before you feel ready. Stop waiting to get fluent before speaking. You think your English level, like your grammar and your vocabulary, is preventing fluency. Like that magical words to thoughts to words. But really, you just need output, speaking practice. Learning English has probably never been easier. There's loads of resources online for free. But we live isolated digital lives. It's all input. Netflix, YouTube, podcasts, and very little output. See, fluency requires both. Imagine a car. Your input is like the fuel. The output is the motor. Now, interaction is the road that'll take you to fluency. You just keep putting more and more fuel in the tank, but it's already full. You need to start driving. You need to start speaking. No speaking partner? Well, no problem. Get your copy of my ebook, Solo Speaking Success, and you'll see the exact method to practice speaking on your own. Just click on the link in the comments, put your email in, and I'll send you the PDF for free. The bottom bread of our sandwich is own your voice. We need to move you from nervous to confident. Have you ever apologized for your English? Sorry, my English really bad. Stop doing that. When you apologize, you destroy your authority and you break your confidence. Your accent and your pronunciation must be clear. I'm not going to tell you just, love your accent, it makes you unique and it shows that you're proud of where you're from and you've learned a language. Look, if nobody understands you, then you're wasting your time. So work on your pronunciation and your accent. But realize that sounding native isn't realistic or even desirable. Once you can make yourself understood, there's nothing more powerful than a second language speaker with confidence. Listeners will just hang on your every word. Now, that's when the accent curiosity and pronunciation differences give you character and charisma. It's like trying to cross the border into fluency land. The border guards are the native speakers. If you walk up nervous and apologizing, they'll stop you. Back to the classroom, learner. But if you walk up confident, morning officer, then they'll just wave you through. So you've got the fluency mindset. Now it's time to fix the method, because comprehensible input isn't enough anymore. And in this video, I'll show you why comprehensible input's dead and what actually gets you fluent fast.